Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm your host, Jamie, and I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Storytime Society. I am seriously so happy. I love doing this and I love chatting with you guys. And I'm just really grateful for all of you guys and the community that I feel like we've already created. And it hasn't even been like that long since I started this podcast. And I just already feel like you guys are like the best. And I recognize all of your comments. Like when you even comment once, I literally remember. I remember that. And I feel like I associate every person with like something different. Like I know exactly your past comments and stuff, and I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but you get what I mean. So yeah, I'm always like, oh, I like don't know all the names, but I know like your usernames. Like I don't know your real names, but I know your usernames and like your profile pictures, and that's like what I associate with you with, and it's so funny. But anyways, let's get right into the episode. I don't have anything to drink today, but if you do, let me know what you're drinking. I already had my coffee this morning and I have been drinking some water. I really need to drink more, but I'm not that good at drinking water, guys. Seriously. It's pretty sad. But anyways, we're going to start on our first story. Am I overreacting? My fiance asked me to not wear white at our wedding. Have you ever seen I Love a Mama's Boy? Well, that's my life, basically. I, 27 female, have been with my fiance, John, 28 female, since high school. We dated and broke up because his mother, I'm assuming she meant male because she's saying his, so I'm going to read that over again. I, 27 female, have been with my fiance, John, 28 male, since high school. We dated and broke up because his mother, Debbie, 53 female, convinced him we were too young to be in love. We broke up and went to college, and during my sophomore year, we started talking on socials again. He apologized and said he missed me. We got back together. Cue the waterworks. Debbie literally cried the first time she saw that we were back together and told John that I have done witchcraft on him. I've always respected Debbie out of respect for my mother and my upbringing. I was not raised to go back and forth with my elders, but she definitely abuses that. Since John and I decided to get back together, she has tried to hook him up with women from her church, her job, and even asks her friends for their daughters to give it a shot. John denies all of them, and Debbie says that I'm controlling. John has told her to stop, but not in a way that I feel like she gets the point. Anyways, 3 months ago, John proposed. Deb didn't come to the engagement party. Cool. She didn't come to the family dinner we had so both sides could meet. Cool. John's dad came and apologized for his ex's behavior. He left her when John graduated high school, but I told him, don't worry about it. The problems really began when John decided to confront his mother and how she's behaving towards our whole engagement. This turned on the light bulb in his brain, as he's always tried to ignore it and tell me to ignore her. She gave him a sob story about how she got pregnant with him before marriage and never really got to have a wedding, and this is triggering for her. She had a shotgun wedding at the courthouse. He asked her what she needed to feel comfortable, and she responded that if she wore white and I wore a soft pink or a lavender, she would feel more comfortable. My fiance, for some reason, thought that this was a fair compromise. He also said and not asked that his mom could walk me down the aisle so that she can get her moment in her dress. I told him absolutely not, and we got into an argument about it. I told him that it's insane that he would argue with me to defend his mom's honor, but wouldn't do the same if it were the other way around. He accused me of being petty and selfish. It was bad. We both have agreed to cool off, but by how heated it got, I could tell we both almost agreed to call it off. Now we're in a weird space, and I love John, but now see how much he lets her impact our life. I just imagined her sitting at home with this evil grin, knowing she's ruining my relationship with John, and he's just putty in her hands. I think I should just call off the wedding. Am I overreacting, or is it just a color? This story was like actually insane to me. I read it on my TikTok, but I knew that I needed to read it on here because I was like shook that this is something that happens. and that genuinely women don't. I would be so afraid if my husband did that. I would genuinely be so concerned for them. Like, what in your right mind thinks that that is a normal thing to do? You, what do you want, like, to marry your mom? Because that's what it looks like when your mom comes walking down the aisle in a white fucking wedding dress, you weirdo. Like, it's honestly so creepy. And obviously, I know that it's not like, it's not, you know, it's not like sexual or anything, but it's just giving weird vibes. It's really creepy and it honestly stresses me out. I don't even know how you reason with someone like that. Like, genuinely, how do you be like, do you not like understand how fucking weird that is? I feel like I would just blow up at my fiance because I'd be like, the fact that you agreed to that, and then the fact that you not only agreed to her wearing white, but you agreed to her walking down the aisle when I'm supposed to be walking down the aisle. It's my wedding day. Like, I am getting married to you, not your mother, is insane. And yeah, that is a red motherfucking flag. And obviously, I say this all the time. I hate for the solution to always be like, leave him. But if he doesn't understand how fucking weird that was, then yeah, leave him because he will never understand and you will forever be married to him and his mom and not just him. And like, I've never dealt with something that extreme, like to this extreme of a level of like someone being a mama's boy. I've definitely like secondhand kind of seen types of men like this and it's really weird, but I've never fully experienced a relationship with someone that would do that. Like, it's genuinely, it makes me think that they need to be locked up. Like, you need to be mentally evaluated and like have your brain scanned and have a professional go over the results with you because no, it just genuinely scares me. Hi, sorry to interrupt, but if you would like to listen on Spotify, we have a link in the description below. And if you're there, give us a follow and rate us 5 stars. Love you. Okay, there's an update. So there's actually 2 updates. Am I overreacting? My fiance asked me to not wear white at our wedding. Update. Hey everyone, not sure if this is the update everyone wanted, but this is what happened since my last post. 1, I laid out a couple of talking points that I couldn't articulate over the rage. I met up with John after work at home. I was at the gym letting off steam. 3, we spoke on everything and made plans to speak to his mother. John came home remorseful. He told me he was anxious about it and brought it up to a coworker/friend about how I don't want to compromise. Apparently his friend, God bless his soul, went off on him about being cringy. This angered me. So when I say it's a problem but another man tells you and now you see the other side, I brought up my talking points. Him being easily manipulated. This was also proved when I said he would listen to whatever another man said before his partner. Even though his friend agreed with me, it hurt that he didn't listen to me. His mom going out of her way to break us up with this silly request. He was way more open to this theory now, knowing how cringe he looks, even telling this situation to someone else. I compared it to a father removing a bride's wedding garter. He got the point. Him agreeing to his mom's crazy request before even talking to me. He claimed that he didn't, that he told her he'll see how I feel about it and just brought it up to me. I asked why did he not see that his mother walking down the aisle on his wedding day was extremely creepy. He said it's just a dress in his eyes. He just didn't want his mom to miss the wedding. I told him there will be no wedding if he doesn't straighten up, and he said that he understood. Me showing him how blatantly obvious it was that she hates me. She didn't even ask to wear white alongside me, which is still weird, but that I don't wear white at all as if I'm some impure whore. Thanks, Reddit, because I wasn't even thinking of that one. He said he didn't see it that way. He just knew she hasn't been showing up because she said seeing me in white hurts her. So I said, do you not hear your own mom saying she wants to be the bride herself, that she can't stand it being me? It finally looked like a ding light bulb went off in his head. Me asking him what role would she play in our wedding, childbirth, Mother's Day, and everything to come. Would I always come second place? He assured me I wouldn't, and he realizes how bad he effed up. He was just trying to keep the peace. I asked by always making her happy and making me miserable. I refused to live my life this way. He agreed and said that he was sorry and that he wouldn't want me to be miserable. We have no children yet, but we created a plan and how to deal with any big milestone. She won't be there for anything unless I'm comfortable with it, and I won't be unless she does a 180. I asked what did his mom say to change his mind, and you all guessed it. She cried. She cried about how her baby was getting taken away from her, how she never got her wedding, how his dad left her and she was alone and no one else, and had no one else, that she felt sick and just wanted to experience a real wedding before she dies. She is perfectly healthy, unless there's something that she hasn't told us. I just told him if that was enough to manipulate him, what's to say that he won't turn on me again? He said his friend and dad talked sense into him about how he was going to lose me. I told him today that the last straw for me. I told him today what was the last straw for me. He had to do 4 things to keep me engaged to him if he even cared to. Go low contact with his mom and do not let her make any decisions on our wedding, which will be postponed another year to see if he actually sticks to his word. 2, he has to go to counseling, individually and couples. 3, he has to speak to his mom, with me present, about her behavior towards me because every time he goes by himself, he comes back with a reason why he left it alone. 4, he must create strong boundaries and learn to uphold them. He agreed. Then came the bad part. I showed him the post. I felt so bad as he read everyone rip him to shreds in the comments. I could see how uncomfortable he was as he read how much of a mama's boy he was and other things about his mom. He was hurt that I agreed that I should leave in some comments. He read for a few minutes until he saw someone call him a spineless, see you next Tuesday, and then he gave me my phone back. He said it was really harsh, but I had to show him how crazy the situation sounded, even if it was just to keep the peace on a surface level. Him reading the post was icing on the cake. He said he saw everyone telling me to leave, and his heart physically started hurting knowing that he deserved it. We called his dad, who I'm no longer calling future father-in-law because I will call this wedding off tomorrow if he doesn't have my back when we speak to his mom. John's dad, Dan, who I'll name since he's a big part of this update, Dan also read John the Riot Act again. He was relieved John decided to get his act together. We agreed to go to Deb's house tomorrow with Dan and John's aunt. My dad is tagging along. John has said he will tell his mother that she can't under any circumstances make our wedding about her. He also said if she does cry or try to guilt trip him, he will tell her he's going no contact. I feel terrible, as getting a man to stop talking to his mother isn't something that I ever thought I even wanted. I doubt Debbie will come around, especially not tomorrow with all of us against her. I don't know if John will backtrack as soon as he gets there. I have explained if he doesn't grow a spine, I'm leaving. He can either marry me or marry his mom, but that's my ultimatum. He said he chooses me, but we'll see, I guess. This all should make me happy, but I still feel icky. I'll update tomorrow after we talk to Debbie. I mean, I'm glad that she's working it out because, like, it's obviously, you want to say just leave because that's it's not the easiest, but that's the easiest thing to say. It's not the easiest solution, but it's definitely the easiest thing to say because it's like, who the fuck? How can you fix that? And also, like, to have someone not realize how weird that is like so crazy. The fact that, like, you can't even meet on a solid ground or understanding. They genuinely think that it's fine that their mom behaves that way, and it's so scary because it's just what is going to happen in the future when you have children and you're in the marriage and all this stuff. That is very scary. I would be so concerned. Also, not only does this husband or whatever soon to be husband have a problem, but the mother as well. I cannot imagine, like, I cannot believe that mothers exist like this. It's actually so shocking to me. You're telling me that mothers genuinely think that they should wear white to their son's wedding. It's so weird. I cannot believe that people like this exist, but then again, people also do incest, so that's even weirder. But it's just so crazy and so hard to wrap my brain around that it's just like so weird. And yeah, the show Mama's Boy is such a good representation of this kind of story, and it's so scary that that's even a thing. And it's just so weird that sons have that type of relationship in some instances with their mother, and their mother is the one that provokes it. Ugh. I would be so grossed out if that were my husband, I would genuinely be so grossed out and so disgusted. I probably would not even want any sexual activity for so long. Okay, there's a final update. Let's read it. Am I overreacting? My fiance asked me not to wear white to our wedding. Final update. Hey everyone, I'm back with the last update. This is a bit long, so buckle up. Some people reached to disrespect me. I honestly don't care if you don't believe my story or find me annoying, but messaging me, calling me names, being disrespectful, and or saying I shouldn't wear white to my own wedding is classless. I won't respond, and I genuinely hope you all get the help you need for whatever trauma makes you that much of an angry person. To all the people who have reached out with positive vibes and advice, thank you so much. Anyway, John and I met up after work and we headed to pick up Dan. John's aunt couldn't make it. My dad was meeting us there. I had really bad anxiety. I told Dan and Dad that they should give us a few before knocking so she doesn't feel ambushed. They agreed. Here's the part everyone was waiting for. We get to Debbie's and my heart feels like I'm going to up to the world's tallest roller coaster slowly. John is quiet. We get there and he gives her a firm but respectful, "Hey, Mom." We sit down and John tells her we came to talk to her. She asked what's wrong. John got right into it. He bluntly said to her that her actions towards me for years have been petty. Her not showing up for any of our wedding events was unacceptable to him. He flat out asked her, why does she have a problem with me? I genuinely thought he was going to start with the dress situation, but he went for the root of it all. Debbie acted like she had no idea what he was talking about. She has actively tried to get him to cheat and leave me for other women, but in that moment, she was so shocked and doesn't know where all of this was coming from. She said she has no problems with me and she loves me like a daughter. She looked at me like she expected me to talk, but like I said to you all, I wanted to see what John had to say. He asked her to be honest and named all the times he's recalled that she insulted me to my face and behind my back. He mentioned she has also told him he could do better every single time I'm not around. This was news to me, but am I shocked? No. Deb was livid. She genuinely couldn't believe he outed her like that. She starts going off on him, calling him disrespectful and saying he was disrespecting his own mother for an outsider. She kept saying, I know she made you do this. I know she's the one making you disrespect me like this. John was trying to reason with her and get her to calm down. I texted Dan and my dad to come in. Once they were inside, Deb became a different person. She was startled as she wasn't expecting them, and then all of the things that she was just saying went out the window. She turned to Dan and my dad and said John walked in and just started yelling at her because of me. My dad looked at me and I shook my head no. Once Dan and Dad got in, everything was calmer for a little while. She went back to denying she didn't like me. They all told her that it was obvious, that the dress request was shameful of her, and she immediately replied, it's shameful that I won't let her son spend time with her. John said that's not true. At this point, I'm burning inside. I wanted to correct her and all of her inaccuracies, but I stood quiet. John asked her, what's the real issue with me? Deb starts saying how she knew I was going to be an issue since we were in high school. She said that once John got with me, his grades started dropping, which isn't true. That he stopped making time for family, also not true. That he once didn't show up to celebrate Mother's Day with her a few times because of my birthday. My birthday is in April. Mother's Day is in May. That once we got back together, he forgot about her completely because I made him abandon her. He goes to her house minimum 3 times a week. And she said the fact that we had the engagement party without checking how she felt about it was wrong, and all the evidence that she needed to see what kind of woman I am. My dad pointed out that she didn't pay for the engagement dinner to have any input on it. Dan asked her what was she thinking, asking to wear white at a wedding. Why is she so hungry for attention? Her face got red and she went off. She told Dan maybe if he would have properly married her and gave her a real wedding, she wouldn't feel left out. Dan straight up called bullshit and said that she didn't want to have a real wedding, even though he tried to convince her to. The reason being that her mother told her pregnant brides are tacky. She started crying. I honestly felt bad for Debbie here. Mothers, be nice to your daughters, or you'll create Debbies. My dad got everyone to calm down. John finally spoke again and told his mom that he can't keep defending her when she won't even try to respect me. That for his own sanity in our relationship, he's going low contact. Deb kept crying and said that John can't leave her for dead. She's the only mother that he'll ever have. Mothers are forever. Wives are not. I'm not even his wife yet, and I'm already tearing apart the family. He kept going. He told her that we're going to get married. she can't respect me or stop crossing boundaries, she'll get cut off completely. That his visits are dropping down to one every 2 weeks and that she needs to call less. She started going off. She knew it. I'm doing something to him. What did I do to her son? I'm a manipulator and a problem. She told my dad he raised a demon. My dad shot back at her to watch her mouth. John kept shouting, "Mom, stop. Mom, stop." But she kept screaming and then she started hyperventilating. Whoever called it, you might be able to see the future. She was gripping John's arm, saying that she can't breathe. This was when I said to myself, oh no, he's about to flip flop. He looked at me and I know he knew what I was thinking. John got her a cup of water and then asked his dad if he could make sure his mom was okay and asked my dad to take Dan home. Dan and Dad agreed, and his mom started crying louder. She literally screamed, "I can't breathe," as we walked out so that he could hear her. I felt effing terrible, and I finally spoke. I told John I'm sorry, and I understand if he felt bad. He said he knew she was faking it, but his instincts wanted to run over and make sure that she was okay. I asked, "Are you?" He said no, but he looked really sad about it. My dad walked out behind us. My dad has never seen this side of Deb. Neither have I. She's always been catty or shady towards me, but this was insane. My dad straight up told John that his mom needed help with her mental health. John said he's going to talk to his aunt about getting her help. We went home and John cried. He said he cried because he watched his mom villainize him and tell others that he just walked in and verbally abused her. He said it reminded him of the times he would fight with his dad because his mom would say Dan would just come home from work and yell at her for no reason. I guess it was deja vu for him. He was silent after she said that, so I do believe it struck a nerve with him. He decided to go to North Carolina. I said he decided to go to North Carolina, but he decided to go no contact for now. I did ask him if he was okay with me posting this part, and he said yes. Before we went to Deb's house, I called a couple of counselors in our area to check availability, and our first couples therapy session is next month. It's a little while away. He called his provider today to check for a therapist within his insurance and got an appointment for himself for the 23rd. The ball is rolling, and John seems like he's on the same page as me. I know this is killing him, though. Dan called us and let us know he got Deb to calm down. He said he spoke to her as best as he could about her harming her own relationship with John, but she didn't want to hear it. Thank you, Reddit. I really didn't expect this to blow up like this. The advice and well wishes I got from this was so overwhelming in a great way. While I should be happy, something about it all just makes me feel down. I hope that Debbie gets better and we can one day have her in our lives. Something about that comment about her mother made me hurt for little Debbie, but hopefully one day I'll get to hear her stories. Now I'm going back to my regular life, and hopefully I won't ever have a dramatic update for you guys ever again. I'm not surprised at all about that reaction, and I'm honestly so glad that John decided to go no contact instead of low contact, because truly, if this were me and I were in this situation and he didn't change his mind by himself, because obviously they came to the conclusion that like they were going to do low contact with her, but then after seeing her reaction, he's like, no, we're going to do no contact. And I'm so glad, because I would have, if he didn't say that, I would have been like, there's no fucking way. Like, I would first of all be upset that he didn't see what was happening and want to go no contact. And then second of all, I'd be like, absolutely not, because I'm never talking to this woman again. Like, unless she seriously gets some serious mental health help, I'm not talking to this lady ever again. She's genuinely insane and it's really, really bad. And that would be the last straw for me. Like, the way that she's reacting is so scary. And obviously, yeah, it's really sad because this clearly there's a root to this problem, and there's always, when you think about it and you truly be like compassionate and empathetic, you know that there's always like a reason for something. There's some way that they were, unless you were born a psychopath with your brain just wired that way. But hi, sorry to interrupt, but if you could just press the subscribe button, the like button, and leave us a comment, it would really help with the algorithm and pushing out my videos to other people like you who like this type of content. Okay, love you. There's somewhere down the line when you were growing up that the way that your parents raised you, or maybe the way that you were treated by friends or things like that, that shaped the person that you are. And like, obviously not blaming it on that at all. At the end of the day, it's your responsibility to get the help that you need for your mental health and truly take accountability for the way that you act. But it's obviously sad to think about what she had to go through growing up, because clearly if her mom said that to her as an adult, a pregnant adult, saying pregnant brides are tacky, then I'm sure there are a lot of other emotional abuse that she went through with her mom growing up. I'm sure that wasn't the first of it, because no good mom would ever make that comment to their child. That's ridiculous. But so that's sad, obviously. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's her responsibility as an adult to take accountability for that and to get the help that she needs. And she clearly doesn't think that she needs help. Like, she genuinely thinks that she's right in this situation, and that's really scary. So hopefully her sister can convince her to get the help that she needs, so that and hopefully it motivates her that her son isn't talking to her anymore, and that will help her, because I've seen this firsthand, and it's really bad. Like, you don't want to obviously not have your parent in your life, but if that's the way that they're going to treat your significant other and you, and just in general, that's the way that they're going to behave in a super scary, creepy manner, you don't need to have that person in your life. And I know so many people are like, well, that's still your mom, well, that's still your dad or whatever, but it truly doesn't matter. Like, that does not give anyone an excuse to treat you that way. And if that's your mom and that's your dad, then okay, that's not my responsibility. It's their responsibility to figure it out and get the help that they need, so that then we can have a healthy relationship. But if they don't, then there's no relationship there. There's no relationship, because I refuse to be in an unhealthy relationship with anyone, especially my own parents. So, but obviously, like, it's really sad. I'm not saying that it's easy. I know it's hard to not have a relationship with your parent or a close family member, and it's always so hard when someone's like, well, what if something happened to them? But that's no reason to just accept an unhealthy relationship or a toxic relationship. It's really no, there's no excuse to just accept that type of relationship in your life. Just because someone is your sister or your brother or whatever doesn't mean that you just have to be like, oh, but if they die tomorrow, I'm going to be really sad, like, that I didn't talk to them. Of course you're going to be really sad. But hopefully that won't happen, because hopefully you not talking to them will get them to realize that they need help and they need to grow as a person. It's just so scary that people are like this. I just telling you, and it's so scary. It's crazy to me. I can't even wrap my head around it, because I'm just thinking about it as if it were my boyfriend and his mom. And I love my boyfriend's mom so much. She's so easy to talk to. She's very easy to be around. She's just very friendly and easy to get along with, which is so nice, especially because reading stories like this make you realize, like, how grateful you really are for people that are normal and not having to deal with this. Thank God, because I would never want to have to deal with this in my life. I would hate it so much. I would hate my life. I would definitely not be with my boyfriend if this were how his mom was and he was, like, accepting of that. Oh, you know what? I forgot to read comments. Let's read some comments. For the third thread in a row, I'm going to say it. This is what emotional incest looks like. Good on you, OP, and good for John for finally sticking up for you, himself, and everyone else his mother has gaslit and manipulated. Someone said, my dad kicked me out and sold the truck I bought that. Unfortunately, I allowed him to register and insure for me because it was more affordable as a high school kid. The reason I was spending too much time with my boyfriend at the time. Men are so blind to this. My first relationship was a nightmare because of his mother. All my ex could talk about was how hard his mother has it, what a difficult life, and how she needs endless support. He still lived with her. He started being emotionally and verbally abusive towards me because of her. I have no idea what she was saying to him about me, but I know it wasn't good things. I was young and naive, but eventually I got out of this. The fallout was awful. When I think about them, my insides still get that horrible dropping feeling when you feel like you're going to fall from a great height. I hate that. In fairness, it isn't just men. Any child can be manipulated from an early age by an adult who has unlimited access to them to believe what they are told as well as see what they are told to see, regardless if the truth staring them in the face. Look at how many grown-ass intelligent people believe some of the most horrendous conspiracy theories because there is just enough truth embedded to make it maybe, and because of course the person saying it would never lie for their own gain. True. And honestly, those people have probably been groomed. Like, I'm sure their mother has always treated them like this, so it's just a regular thing to them. But obviously, to you, it's not regular because you're not used to that. And then finally, when you're in the relationship and you see this and they can see it from your perspective, which not always doesn't always happen, obviously. Some guys genuinely just never will truly accept that their mother's like this, and they'll always choose their mother over their partner even after 10 partners. And it's like, what's the common denominator here? It's clearly the mom, but the son will never get it. I've seen this situation and it's genuinely scary. But next story. I, 40 female, decided to divorce my husband, 42 male, during his father's funeral. Am I wrong? Here's the context. I work full-time and my husband works part-time. I earn 3 times more than him. My husband's father recently passed away, leading to my father-in-law's death. He was... Sorry? Sorry, I just read that so weird. My husband's father recently passed away. Leading to my father-in-law's death, he was struggling with a lot of health issues. This meant that my husband gave money to his family every month, which was 20% of his salary, sometimes more. He has siblings, yes, but all of them are struggling financially. I pay for almost everything at home. His share is for the weekly food supply, which is about 40% of his salary. We live a simple life. I try to save as much money as possible. I've been telling him that he really needs a full-time job to earn more. The catch is that he needs to pass a test to get a full-time job because of his current qualifications. I had previously paid for a short course to help him prepare for this test, but he wasn't into it. As you can guess, he failed the test when he took it. When his father died, he had to ask me for money for the funeral expenses because he had very little saved. I had to shell out a month's worth of salary to cover the amount that he needed. He thought it was okay since the money was there. He knew how much savings I had. I just suddenly realized that I'm tired and sick of it. I felt used and abused. After I gave him money for my savings, I thought about the trips that I could have gone on with that money. All the time, I decided to skimp and not splurge on things I wanted for myself just so I could save money. Am I selfish for thinking this way? After the funeral, I served him divorce papers. He was so emotionally devastated, but I was just done. I feel guilty, though, but I don't think he deserves another chance after I've given him several in the past. I'm scared. I feel very bad for that husband. I mean, all he was doing is trying to help his family while his dad was sick and dying. And clearly he was struggling because you obviously have made it a point that you make more money than him, but he still was giving 20% of his salary to his family to help them. It seems like you are very money focused, which I understand. Finances are a big thing in a marriage, but his motherfucking dad just died. His dad just died. Oh my God, you guys are married and you can't just shell out some money for a funeral for his father without being like, I'm divorcing you, is insane. Honestly, he probably is gonna be better off without you. The fact that that's a thing is so insane. I can't even imagine. Imagine your partner in life who is supposed to be with you through death, illness, sickness, problems. Like, you make these vows to be there through all this stuff with your partner because that is your life partner. You are literally joining together as one and you are divorcing him because he needed money for his father's funeral. I'm just trying to think of it if I were in that situation. Um, I feel like I would be like, I would just accept it, and I'd be like, okay, well, good thing that if it were my husband, good thing that he left me, because like fuck him, literally fuck him, because he's gonna divorce me because I needed money for my dad's funeral is insane. No, no, I'm so scared of that. You're a terrible person, actually. Terrible. That's crazy. Okay. We're going to read some of the comments that are screenshotted in this post. There is something seriously wrong with you if you actually did this. It couldn't have waited an effing wink. An effing week? You're quite evil. And then OP responded, I did wait. I served him the papers after a week. Prior to that, I'd been telling him for years that his way of handling his finances was causing a strain on our relationship. See, I get that. I get the causing a strain on your relationship. Totally understandable, and a lot of people get divorced. I'm pretty sure this is like the leading cause for divorce is finances. But why was the last straw his dad's funeral? Why is that the last straw? That's sick. Okay. The reasoning for wanting divorce is sound. The timing of it is savage, ice cold. That's the kind of thing you do to someone you despise. OP said, I guess you're right. I do hate him. I hate him for being lazy and unmotivated. I've been asking him to step up for years. I despise him for thinking that he's entitled to money that I worked my ass off to save. Meanwhile, he works only 4 hours every day and expects to have everything served to him on a silver platter. He's lazy and doing housework too. Prefers to watch videos on his phone or play sports. And then someone responded to that. These comments are wild. You finally realized how much he'd taken advantage. Dude really thought you got endless savings and it was whatever because you were able to pay. You could have said no to funding the funeral and left him scrambling, but gave a month's wage to properly bury your father-in-law. It's crueler to lie and stay in a relationship when you're checked out. Timing sucks, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of those guys that thinks this came out of nowhere. I just don't agree with that at all. Okay, there's another comment. Had you communicated the issues you had with him prior to serving him divorce papers? And I don't mean once or twice. I mean, have you had a full-on conversation with him about the issues you were having being the breadwinner and the fact that you don't feel like he's contributing enough? And I get that you were working full-time and making more money than him means that you have both the final say on finances as well as your who to ask for the big financial decisions in general. But for the most part, once you're married, that's shared money among a married couple. And as a man, losing a father is one of the hardest things you could go through in life. Possibly the hardest. If you don't factor in the couples that have unfortunately lost children. To a man, his father is his biggest role model in life, the one that he looks up to the most. And instead of comforting him in that difficult time, you served him divorce papers and made a horrible situation even worse. Took away his support structure. You should have waited, if anything, but you didn't, which is the biggest problem here. I get it, you were done and felt used, but that was far beyond a blow at his lowest. OP said, for years, I'd been helping him to earn better qualifications so he could get a better job too. I'd already been very understanding with the fact that he sends money to his family every month. I don't know what else I should have done to help him. Probably should have ended it earlier then, because if you had been feeling this way for years, waiting until the dad passes away is crazy. I mean, oh my God. Why was that the last straw? That's just what I'm really shocked about, truly. And it's really sad to me. But that is the end of the story times. We're going to move on to the advice segment where I answer an advice question every one of our full episodes. Normally not on the mini episodes. I don't do this, but the link is below if you ever want advice from me. It's a Google form and it's completely anonymous. And my friend is going to be coming on this week to read stories with me and also do advice stuff. And this is a friend that I previously had a podcast with, actually, with a third person that we're no longer friends with. But and we've been really wanting to start up something again with us too, but we don't really know what yet. So we're kind of just going to see what it's like to have her as a guest here. And then maybe we can like create something on our own outside of my podcast. But yeah, we made so many podcasts together and it was really fun and we loved it. But then we had a falling out with our third co-host, and yeah, unfortunately that kind of just ended things. And then that's like around the time that I started this on my own. But yeah, so please ask advice questions because I want her to be here for the advice questions, and maybe we'll like answer a few. It'll probably be a longer episode because we like to yap a lot, and I'm sure we'll have both a lot to say, so I feel like it will just end up being naturally longer. But I don't know, I was thinking about maybe doing a podcast with her. It wouldn't obviously come out as much. We'd probably do one episode a week, but I was thinking about maybe doing an advice type podcast, but I don't know. I was talking to her about it, and it's just hard because you have to get enough people asking for advice to base a whole podcast around that. And that's kind of like scary because we'd be just starting out and we wouldn't have anyone to ask us advice. Obviously, I would ask you guys to ask us questions, but I still need advice questions for my own podcast. And then on top of that, I would need questions for our podcast. And we would focus it most on advice questions. Like we would do multiple in one episode, obviously, because we wouldn't be able to base a whole episode around just one advice question. But yeah, I don't know. I was kind of thinking something like how Trisha and Tana have their Not Love Line podcast that they just recently started. Something similar to that, but not exactly. Like we would just want advice with everything, not directly based on love, life, whatever. But yeah, anyways, let's get to the advice question. Okay. Someone said, sometimes I feel like breaking up with my boyfriend, but I don't know why. I have fears about our future. We are both young, 18 to 20 years old, but I'm scared he's going to propose and maybe this feeling will grow even larger. We've talked extensively about moving in and getting married. He makes me cringe sometimes, and one day I'll have nothing positive to think about him, and the next, he is like the most perfect man on this planet. Like, I understand we have our differences, but days like this just make it so apparent why we're not compatible. Politics, kids, going out, etc. We never argue or anything, and we always get along and have a great time when we're together. He is so sweet and caring to me, but the bigger picture just spoils everything. We've been together about 2 years now. Is this normal? I'm also scared to tell him how I've been feeling. This has been an everyday thought for about 4 months. Love your podcast so much. Oh, thanks. I love you. And she said rated 5 stars on Spotify, which love you. Love you, queen. Okay. For this, I have to say that you're so young and this genuinely does play into it. And obviously when you're this age, you don't realize how young you are, but as you get older, you do realize like this is such a young age and you don't have everything figured out, and that's okay. And you don't have to be with the person that you're with forever at this age, which I can understand why you would be nervous and be scared about the future. But truly what's good to remember is that just because you're with this person does not mean that you need to get married to them, especially at such a young age. And I know obviously some people get married at a young age and that's a great thing for them, but clearly you're having doubts and you've been consistently doubting this relationship. And I'm going to just be completely honest with you. With everything that you've told me, I do think that you should break up because 4 months of thinking about not wanting to be with someone very consistently, unless you have something like, which I don't want to diagnose anyone, obviously, but I've dealt with this in my relationship, a thing called relationship OCD. And that's when you have like consistent thoughts that are intrusive thoughts, even though you love this person and you know that you want to be with them, but for some reason things pop up in your mind and it's like intrusive and you know that you don't agree with it, but then the thoughts start to get to you because it's almost like, well, why are these thoughts coming up? Does that mean I don't love them? Or we're not going to be together forever? We shouldn't be together. We're not meant to be together, even though you know for sure that you want to be with this person forever. But it doesn't really seem like that's the issue here, although you could consider it and maybe look a little bit more into it. I feel like just because you're so young, breaking up and truly taking time to yourself for a little bit to see what it's like outside of the relationship. And yes, you're going to miss this person. But I think after a while, after a couple months of not being with them, you'll be able to truly tell if you feel like you made the right decision or not. And when you're going through that breakup, if you do decide to break up with him, realize that it's okay to miss him, but that doesn't mean that you should get back together with him. It's totally normal to miss someone after you break up, especially after you've been together for 2 years. But I don't really think that it's normal. And I think that in a lot of relationships, and 90% of the time, this is something that should tell you you probably don't want to be in this relationship anymore. And maybe you're just really nervous to break up with him, because I've had this same experience where I was with someone from the age of 18 to 22, and we were really on and off. And I had these feelings and these thoughts for so long as well. I was always thinking about breaking up, and we're not meant to be together. And there were so many things that we didn't align on. And genuinely, all the things that you listed plus more, our love languages did not align, which was a huge, huge battle for us. And just so many things did not align. We truly were not meant to be together, but I was really forcing it because you're young, you're in love, you want to be with someone, you want to be in a relationship. This person is also someone really close to you and your best friend, but that doesn't mean that you need to stay with them forever. Sometimes relationships are just there to teach you a lesson and help you grow. So, yeah. I think my camera's about to die. I really wanted to talk to you about me visiting home and how that went and stuff. But I think I'll talk to you guys about that in the next episode. I'm really sad that my camera's about to die, but I know that it's about to die, and I want to be able to get my outro. I love you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next episode. Love you. Bye.